Hello, I'm Dr. Leon Stutzman, aka Doc, with another one of these little videos designed to help you to get through these strange days in which we find ourselves, and these yet remain strange days indeed. They really do. I'm talking this week about the second act. The second act is better if you know how to move from the first act into the second act. David was at the end of a first act. He heard devastating news. His son had died. He arose, he washed himself, he anointed himself, and he changed his clothes. If you're going to move from the first act into the second act, you have to first think higher thoughts. Secondly, you have to wash yourself, get rid of your negative thinking and your negative perceptions. Then you need to anoint yourself, tap into the power of the Spirit, and change your clothes. What you wear really does make a difference. Let me say that again. What you wear, both in the natural sense and in the spiritual sense, what you wear really does make a difference. I was in a major meeting one time. I was not speaking. I was just part of the service. I was standing at the front of the church at the end of the message. I was just worshiping and praising God. I felt someone tugging on the back of my sport coat. And I turned around and recognized a national evangelical charismatic spiritual leader. He looked at me and said, "Hickey Freeman." You could tell by the feel of the material. It was a Hickey Freeman suit, which back in that day was one of the best American-made suits that you could possibly buy. What you wear does make a difference. The Bible tells us in Isaiah 61, verse 3, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called the trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord. You have to change your garment. You have to change the perception of who you are, your place and your position in the world. Many are wearing sad rags. Isaiah talks about those sad rags, but we're all as an unclean thing. And all of our righteousness as filthy rags. Those are sad rags. I remember the first time I came into the understanding that you could actually wear something a little better. I was living in a little $10 a week boarding house behind the church in Dallas, Texas. My father kicked me out of the house because I wanted to be in the ministry. I was praying in $10 a week to pay room and board, razor blades and deodorant and all that. And occasionally I'd get a little bit of money, maybe $1 or $2, and we'd go thrift store shopping. Goodwill store, Salvation Army. You could buy a sport coat for 25 cents, and I knew even then you had to look like a preacher if you're going to be a preacher. Then a friend of mine said, "We need to go to the Episcopalian thrift store. They have better clothes. They're a little more expensive, but they have better clothes." So we went to the Episcopalian thrift store in the Oak Lawn area, which is one of the rich areas of Dallas. And there I discovered, yeah, there was something better than what I had. And even though the sport coat I bought there was 50 cents, and the pair of trousers that I bought there was another 50 cents, it was the nicest sport coat I had ever bought, 2 sizes too big. But I didn't know any better back in those days. But the trousers fit perfectly, and I'd recognize them today to be Super 130 wool. They were really, really nice. And I said, there is something better. There's something better than the sad rags that you've been wearing. You need to put the sad rags off and put on your glad rags. I want you to hear this. Galatians 3, verse 27. Galatians 3, verse 27. For as many as you have been baptized into Christ have put on Christ. If you are a believer, and I trust that you are. If you are a believer, you have literally put on Christ. You need to see yourself as clothed in Christ. Regardless of the situation, regardless of the circumstance, you are clothed in Christ. Now, I'm not going to have time to develop the entirety of the steps that David took to move from his first act into the second act, but you can go to Aspire Church TV on Facebook and catch this as I shared it last Sunday at Aspire Church. There's another thing that he did. He went into the house of the Lord and he worshiped. Get in the house. Listen, there are a lot of folk that watch my videos that attend other churches. And if you're part of a great church, you need to be a part of that great church. If you're part of Aspire Church, you are a part of a great church, because we have a great group of people across this nation that identify with this church and experience the blessing of the house, because there is a blessing in the house, and it does make a difference. If you tap into the blessing of the house, anything can happen in your life. It really can. I've got a stack of testimonies this thick that will tell you the truth. I'm Dr. Leon Stutzman, aka Doc. This Sunday at Aspire Church, 7 steps to post-pandemic success. 7 steps to post-pandemic success. You are going to want to hear this, especially if you're at a certain age or stage of your life. 7 steps to post-pandemic success. Catch it on the live stream at aspirechurch.tv. Catch it on Facebook, Aspire Church TV. That's live stream aspirechurch.tv, Facebook Aspire Church TV, Sunday morning, 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. It will bless you, encourage you, empower you, and help you to move into your next phase of being. I want you to succeed in this post-pandemic world that we are moving into. I believe that success is God's idea. I'm Dr. Leon Stutzman, aka Doc. I'll see you Sunday, and I'll be back next Monday with some more of these little videos.